Hey y'all, my name's Colton and I'm the volunteer director for KVRX. And these are my library picks. So for my first pick, I'm doing Rites of Spring's compilation record, End on End. It's kind of all of the songs they released in their all too brief career. And Rites of Spring started off as a side project of the guitarist from Fugazi, Guy Picciotto, a band for him to let out all of his inner turmoil and catharsis, and ended up creating a subgenre of music. Yeah, this is one of the bands that helped make emo music a thing, and I first heard it when I was 15, and loitering in the suburbs, and it totally blew my mind. And if any angsty 15-year-olds are watching this and haven't heard this record, you're welcome. For my next pick, we are looking at Gillian Welch's Soul Journey. Gillian Welch, I first heard about her when I had seen O Brother Where Art Thou for like 15 times, and I had already devoured the soundtrack for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and Gillian Welch is featured on a bunch of those tracks, and I found this nifty little record as a result. Her music's really cool, even though it was released fairly recently. I think this was 2003, and it harkens back to a lot of like country and folk standards of the time. She even covers a few. I know "Make Me a Pallet on Your Floor" is like a traditional song that gets a new arrangement on here. But the real kicker, for me at least, is the first track off the album, "Look at Miss Ohio." Gillian is just a fantastic songwriter, and she kills it every time. Back on the angst train again, this is Casiotone for the Painfully Alone's first record, entitled Answering Machine Music. The guy who records as Casiotone now I think has a project called Advanced Bass. It's the same style of music, and if you're curious as to what style of music it is, if you took maybe the Mountain Goats and Magnetic Fields, that kind of very narrative, kind of drab songwriting that's very hyper articulate and hyper detailed. I'm a sucker for that. And you put it into the world of Safeways and late night 7-Elevens and just general cold weather feelings music, you would get Casiotone for the Painfully Alone. For my next record, we're doing Songs Ohia, Magnolia Electric Company. This is actually the 10th anniversary edition. This was one of those albums when I first heard it, I was just jaw on the floor, sat down, dimmed the lights, and just listened and listened and listened. Jason Molina is one of those songwriters that is one in a million, and he was gone too soon, but luckily he was very active at recording, and this record is so good. Steve Albini produced this, and it's fantastic. It captures that kind of element of like road songs and a lot of like that's very common in country, but adds like kind of some nice dad rock undertones to it. You have like some taste of Bob Seger in here, and I mean that in the best way possible. But one of the highlights of this edition in particular is like a very stripped down track of Whippoorwill, which is one of the most beautiful songs ever in my opinion. And this album is 10 out of 10. So for my last one, we're keeping with the country theme, and we are doing the Modern Lover's own Jonathan Richman with his country record, Jonathan Goes Country. And this is one of the funniest records I've ever heard, but not in the, like, he's not poking fun at country or anything. He clearly very much deeply cares about the songs that he's recording and writing. But there's some tracks on here. My favorite one in particular, one that really stands out, is called Since She Started to Ride, which is an ode to horse girls everywhere. And it's really cool. A lot of the backing musicians on this are really well-known country like session players in their own right. You have Buck Owens, like original slide guitarist, plays on this. and it's really interesting to see like all these very famous traditionalist country backing musicians play for Jonathan Richman. Overall, it's a really entertaining record and one that I return to very frequently. So my name is Colton. Those were my library picks, a bunch of CDs that I like within this vast KVRX library. I have a show. It is Mondays at 7 p.m. It's called Humble Passengers, and I play a lot of songs that you can drive to. And thanks for listening.